Hey guys, Fire Fox here, and today we are going to be talking about the most awaited video of this channel, problems with Post Timeskip One Piece Wano edition. I wanted to keep this video as professional as I could, but before the video starts, I have to say some things. This arc is basically glorified slope. It has 149 chapters and I can guarantee you that the content isn't even worth 60 chapters. Post-time skip arcs have this bad habit of padding, but unlike Wano, at least they have some substance behind them. The worst part is that I've seen a lot of clowns rate this arc in their top 5 One Piece arcs. My only question is why? Wano is the peak example of quantity over quality. How can anyone like this arc? It's unwatchable and unreadable. Now that my rant is over, let's get started with the video. Please note that I'll be sharing some of my original ideas to make the arc better. We all know Oda separated the Straw Hats before Whole Cake Island. Luffy and Co. saved Sanji, but what did the Wano gang do? What did they achieve? Zoro literally just fucked around for no reason. He would have been a great help if he was present in Whole Cake Island. Yes, separating the Straw Hats made Whole Cake Island a really good arc, but we really don't have an in universe justification on why they divided themselves. Of course, you can give some weak reasons like they were investigating and stuff, but how exactly did that change the story? What effect did the investigation have? Basil Hawkins was nothing but a small nuisance to Luffy in early Wano. His predictions aren't even accurate, and it feels like he says that shit just to look cool. This guy is probably the most wasted supernova. It would have been better if he had a proper fight against a Straw Hat or maybe even Beppo. Throughout the arc, Hawkins keeps telling everyone that they'll die, and in the end, he dies himself and says, "Oh, so it was me who had a 0% chance at living." Like, dude, I can see the angle Oda went for, but it was executed in a half assed manner, and that's what really makes Hawkins a less interesting and wasted supernova. Underwhelming as people who did nothing meaningful other than padding the arc. Kaido spent all these years of research to make an army of these nobodies just to get countered by a kid. I think we can all agree that Kaido only accepted these frauds because he likes the idea of random ass beasts. Why else would you sit on an island for 20 years for such an underwhelming army? In chapter 922, Luffy jumps a Yonko for no good reason. He wasn't this angry at Big Mom when Sanji was abducted, but for some reason he is super angry at Kaido. All of his development in Marineford meant nothing to him. In the end, he gets captured due to his rash behavior. The other Straw Hats would have literally died due to Luffy if Chopper's plot armor point hadn't saved them. Sea Prism Stone was made in Wano, and yet that plotline didn't mean shit. No one in the crew is interested in getting a Sea Stone weapon. Usopp specially would have benefited from Sea Stone bullets, yet it wasn't used for anything. When Act 1 ended and Luffy and Kid saw each other in the prison, I was actually pretty excited to see them join forces. Unfortunately, that expectation just got converted into a rivalry gag and we didn't see any meaningful interaction happening. I'm gonna be honest, the whole prison arc was kind of just unnecessary padding and a lot of shit didn't need to happen. The whole Queen plotline and the Big Mom stuff was just unnecessary, especially because the Queen thing happens in Onigashima as well. Sanji uses his suit against Page 1 and against Woman's Bath, but he doesn't use it against Queen. How does that make sense? He swallows his pride to fight against Page 1 but doesn't do it against a much more dangerous enemy. The worst part is that he doesn't even think about his pride once when he infiltrates the woman's bath. Sanji is truly Oda's self insert. Remove this random ass kappa and nothing changes. No, seriously, Kawamatsu literally does nothing in the whole arc. You can also remove Ashura Dojo because despite being the strongest scabbard, he did a bunch of nothing and ultimately died to Kanjuro. This guy should have had a cool moment against Kaido and died to him instead of the art boy. Denjiro outshined and outperformed whatever the Kappa and Pink guy did. We also have Kiku who exists just to be a trans icon. Look, I have nothing against trans people. I love the inclusion, but at least make the character interesting. I can also say Izo is also such a wasted character because he had a trash death and did nothing in Marineford either, so his character was never much impressive. You can also remove Raizo, but I'm gonna let him stay because of the Zoo scene. Also, why did Scabbards even fall for such an obvious trick? Take a look at the numbers getting introduced. What did they do in the whole arc? What was their purpose? Oh, so you're telling me that Oda wanted to make a full deck and that's why he just made these random ass giants? Hear me out. This is completely my original idea. Oda could have given Tobiropo the numbers. Huzu is number 10, Sasaki is number 9, Black Maria is number 8, Pei1 and Ulti are 6 7, Apu is 5, X-Drake is 4, Hawkins is 3, the Information Girl is number 2, and the best one, Yamato, is the ace. Come on, this is so much better. We have finally reached the part which is going to be your favorite. Where do I even start with this guy? Hey guys, I'm Oda and I have created an OC. He is a super strong samurai who is friends with both Whitebeard and Roger and has even seen the One Piece. Everyone loves him. He canonically cucks everyone in Wano by fucking their wives and daughters, but everyone loves him regardless. The Scabbards love glazing him to oblivion. Even the main character who never listens to backstories reacts very seriously to Odin's sacrifice. Look at how the Straw Hats are reacting. He's so awesome, right? Odin is the biggest proof that One Piece fans will eat anything that Oda serves. Why do One Piece fans like him? Because Oda likes him. He portrayed Odin as a Chad. I can accept that Oda made a random ass Chad character out of nowhere. This isn't the first time he has done this, but let me ask you one thing. Why does this panel exist? You're telling me that Odin completely failed as a king and couldn't finish an enemy who was making his country suffer when he had the perfect chance to. Wow, that's so convenient. This guy danced naked for 5 years. For what reason? I don't know. His people suffered for 5 years and he didn't do anything about it. He trusted a very, very obviously evil person, even though he could have easily gotten these two motherfuckers out of the throne anytime. He didn't even ask for help from Roger or Whitebeard. He just continued dancing and ruined his own name. But nope, he is a Chad. Why? Because he died in a silly Chad way after saying a silly Chad quote. Again, his existence proves that One Piece fans are stuck in a sunk cost fallacy. Any normal person will hate this guy. The Straw Hats are fighting against their biggest enemy till now. They are fighting against a Yonko, and yet for some reason Sanji is busy chasing women. I have no problem with Sanji asking for Robin's help. I actually liked this part. But why did Sanji end up in this situation in the first place? Why is he falling for these obvious tricks? He's the left wing of the future Pirate King. What the fuck is he doing? Oda reveals later that Queen is Franky's father, and yet he doesn't even acknowledge this plot point in the story. What's the point of making the world so small if you're not gonna include the most basic interaction? I'm gonna be honest, I used to hate Kaido, but now I don't hate him that much. He does a lot of stupid contradictory stuff. He wants a satisfactory death, but he also doesn't challenge any top tier in the 20 years he wastes in Wano. He thinks Haki is supreme, and yet he got washed by a devil fruit user. For some reason, he's also waiting for Joy Boy's return. Honestly, Kaido's character feels all over the place. He even had a garbage backstory. But I think the God Valley flashback added a new layer to his character and his actions. He lost his captain and he's probably just an aimless and depressed guy. I still think he's a lame and boring villain though, especially for an arc which was supposed to mark the end of very long saga. A lot of people hate Yamato, especially because she's an Oden stan and feels like another OC, but I personally think Hiyori is even worse. Throughout the story, Hiyori has almost no role to perform. What does she even do? This girl has the genes of Oden in her, and yet she has zero strength. You can remove her, and the story will only become better. The pointless Kamurasaki plot point won't exist. Denjiro's role won't change much. Someone else can give Zoro Enma, and Orochi is already killed by Denjiro only. Hiyori is doing nothing but just acting that she actually mattered in that fight. You know what's crazy? Yamato is helping so much in the later part, and she's also the one supporting Momonosuke. Meanwhile, Momo's actual sister does absolutely nothing. Seriously, just remove Hiyori completely. And for Yamato, Oda should just remove the I'm Oden part and she'll be a better character. Yamato can also be converted into Momo's sister. Oda could come up with something like Kaido didn't kill Oden's daughter to show people what happens to people who retaliate, or something like that. An even better plot point could have been to put Yamato in the same prison that Luffy was put into. That could have established her presence way earlier. Ideas like these make me wish I was Oda's editor during Wano. Wano fucks Usopp up. Usopp was already absent in Whole Cake Island. Him doing nothing remarkable in Wano is even worse. First, Oda used this guy to make the Yasuye death scene more emotional. Later, Oda used the Usopp to hype up Nami. This is just disrespect to Usopp's character. He wouldn't have acted like this in the pre-time skip. In Alabasta, Usopp tells Chopper that you should never run away when your friend's dream is being made fun of. But he tells Nami to run away in literally the same situation. So either Usopp is a misogynist or Oda forgot Usopp was better. The worst thing is that he has zero fighting feats in the whole arc. He lands some cannonballs against the numbers and it does absolutely nothing. Usopp can't even beat the foders that aren't even relevant to the story. Here's the original solution I came up with to improve Usopp. As I previously stated, remove the numbers completely. Now against Ulti and Pay1, make Usopp use his observation haki. Through this, Usopp senses Big Mom running towards them at top speed. So now what Usopp can do is rage bait Pay1 so that he can somehow make Big Mom and Pay1 collide, and Pay1 is beaten in this way. This isn't a big thing, but it's completely in line with how Usopp has always won his fights. These are very minor changes, but they enhance every character involved in the scenario, especially Usopp. Carrot is a very important character in Whole Cake Island who saw Pedro's death herself and had a very deep connection to Pedro. She is the character who was linked to Pedro's will the most. So tell me, why didn't she win against Perospero? This is a very big case of misogyny Bagua. You're telling me that both Carrot and another female mink commander couldn't defeat a Candyman in their Sulong forms? What nonsense is this? Why do they need Cat Viper's help? Why can't Oda give Carrot such an obvious win? It made full sense for Carrot to win against Perospero, and yet Oda took the stride away from her. To make things worse, Oda gives her a free "You are the king of Zou now" pass, even though she didn't even earn it. And in the same scene, the dog and cat Scabbards tell her that she is the one who carries Pedro's will and thus she deserves to be the king. What the fuck? So Oda chooses to ignore Pedro's will when she's fighting Perospero, but brings it back when he needs a convenient excuse to not let Carrot join the Straw Hats. Oda, you make me sick. Big Mom was a very amazing character in Whole Cake Island. She had an interesting power, interesting backstory, interesting crew, interesting goals, and interesting political standing. She also had a beef with our main character, and it made full sense for Luffy to beat her ass himself. But for some reason, Oda again proves that he is a misogynist true and true. He gives Big Mom amnesia and uses her as a plot convenience to end the Wano prison arc. Later, he uses her to beat Peiwan and Ulti for Usopp and Nami. She also gains motherly feelings for Otama for some reason and talks about some pirate code. Ultimately, she gets beaten by Kid and Law in a fight where both of these motherfuckers magically gain awakenings and Big Mom just doesn't even use half of her arsenal. Suddenly, Luffy telling Big Mom that he will beat her ass in Fishman Island means nothing. Kid and Law had nothing to do with her, and yet they are the ones who beat her. I personally feel like the arc shouldn't have included Big Mom at all, but even if it did, the arc should have given a proper Luffy versus Big Mom fight first. Law and Kid should have been the ones fighting against Kaido since they had more reasons to fight Kaido, especially Kid who lost his partner to a smile devil fruit. Luffy could have had a proper fight with Big Mom and then later joined Kid and Law against Kaido, making it more clear that Kaido is indeed the strongest creature ever and needs multiple motherfuckers to beat him. Oda reveals way later in a cover story that Moria is also a Kozuki. Moria's beef against Kaido was foreshadowed in Thriller Bark first. I genuinely believe it's a very big miss that Oda didn't include Moria in the final fight against Kaido. Moria would have been the perfect support role to buff Luffy and tire out Kaido in the middle phase of the fight. He also would have been a good help against Big Mom. Just imagine the possible interaction between a Shadow Fruit and a Soul Fruit. Oda was really this close to making peak. Moria could have been the potential MVP of Wano only if he was included. This is the point that divided the fan base into two parts. This is the point where a lot of fans finally lost their patience. In theory, Nika is a fun transformation. Oda wanted to do something different, so he made Nika. But what fans don't realize is that the essence of Nika is literally the same as almost every other shonen. It's a chosen one trope which fucks up the structure of the entire story. The Gorosei and Imu not killing Luffy beforehand makes no sense. I know Oda gives a weak justification in the story that the fruit hasn't awakened for a long time and that's why they stopped giving a shit. But this is Luffy we are talking about. This guy has already achieved a lot of stuff no one was able to achieve before, and in a very fast manner too. And yet this guy wasn't killed before. Even in Wano, these motherfuckers just sent CP0 bombs to assassinate Luffy. Also, why did the Awakening revive Luffy from the dead? I personally think the Nika retcon was ass and didn't need to be done at all. And yes, it's definitely a retcon. Skypiea didn't foreshadow this shit. You know what's funny? Oda could have just given Luffy the normal awakening and nothing would have changed. The story would have become so much better if it was just a normal ass awakening. The powers could have been the exact same as they are now. It could be revealed later that Joy Boy also had the same fruit that would have made it a less chosen one thing. The worst thing about Nika is the trash eye gag Oda made to it. And don't even get me started about the egghead version of Nika. I'll cover that in Egghead. Also, the reason why government couldn't get the fruit is because Zoan fruits have their own will. My solution to this is that Oda should have added a new rule stating that all devil fruits change their location every 50 or 100 years later, and that's why it's hard for the world government to keep this fruit to themselves. The Kurozumis were discriminated and murdered by Kozukis, and that's exactly why someone like Orochi happened. It was the result of an already existing hatred. And yet, Oda's best solution to this problem is making Hiyori saying this infamous quote. The funniest thing about this is that Otama is also a Kurozumi, and yet the story doesn't even address this thing. This arc has a lot of minor problems too, so I'll be discussing them here. This random ass ninja force did nothing. Ace is a groomer. We have a lame ass silhouette of Odin. We have Toki who came from the past, and yet we didn't get any lore expansion about Joy Boy. Apu is lame. X-Drake is lame. We got Zoro lineage in an SPS. We have the whole there's an imposter among us plot going on in Tobiropo, and it ends in a very dissatisfying way. Hyogoro fake dyes hair. Raizo versus long ears is lame. Sanji tells Zoro to kill him if anything happens, but it's just fake stakes. We also have a lame ass time bomb. Shinobu can turn people into adults for some reason. Momonosuke knows that Shinobu can do this for some reason. Sukiyaki is alive and yet he's hiding. And last but not least, both Yamato and Carrot didn't join the Straw Hats and we got blue balled. Wano is easily the epitome of shonen slop. It's a lazily written arc, and the fact that it's a top 5 arc of a lot of One Piece fans proves that One Piece fanbase is as trash as this arc. We could have made the arc a lot better if the characters were handled in a better manner. Many previously established plot points were disrespected in this arc. The arc is also stretched way too much, and even after all the changes I told you, including Moria inclusion and a potential Big Mom versus Luffy, this arc could have been around 80 chapters. Thanks for watching, guys. This video took lots of effort, so I really hope you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.